Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So, if you're preparing for the IELTS exam right now, you already know that the Speaking Part 1 introduction is literally your very first impression. I mean, it sets the whole tone for everything that follows. Today, we are going to completely transform the way you approach this. Seriously, instead of nervously memorizing these random, disconnected sentences, let's think of the IELTS introduction as a house that we are going to build together today. And to build a sturdy, beautiful house, well, you need a specific, highly structured blueprint. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have exactly that, a flawless blueprint to construct a Band 7 or higher response every single time.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our exact roadmap for today. 1. The Band 7 mindset. 2. Perfecting your hometown. 3. Elevating work and study. 4. Discussing hobbies with flair. 5. Common pitfalls to avoid. And finally, 6. The ultimate model answer.
Starting off with Section 1, the Band 7 mindset.
Now, before we can put up the walls of our house, we actually have to pour the foundation, right? And in our architectural blueprint, that foundation is understanding exactly what the examiner is looking for, because we really can't hit a target if we don't know what it is. This table represents the 4 pillars of your IELTS score. You've got fluency and coherence, speaking smoothly. You've got lexical resource, which is just a fancy way of saying a wide, accurate vocabulary. But I really want to draw your attention to the bottom 2 here: grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. So often, test takers totally obsess over fancy vocabulary, but they completely forget these 2. Let me be super clear. Grammatical range and clear, natural pronunciation are absolutely equally essential for that Band 7. You literally cannot achieve a high score with great vocabulary if it's spoken in broken grammar or with this flat, unnatural voice. So, this grading criteria is the foundational bedrock upon which our next 3 conversational pillars will stand.
Moving right along to Section 2, perfecting your hometown.
All right, with our foundation firmly in place, it's time to construct the very first structural pillar of our blueprint, describing where you're from. Now, this is almost always one of the very first questions the examiner will ask you, so we really need to come out swinging with incredible precision here. Just think about the poor examiner who has heard, "I live in a big, busy city," for literally the 1,000th time that day. They're practically begging for mercy at that point. So instead of that, you say it's a bustling metropolis. Instead of saying my city is very old, you say it is steeped in history. And rather than saying the people are nice to each other, you describe it as a close-knit community. Using these 3 specific, sophisticated phrases immediately demonstrates a really strong lexical resource. You're basically painting this vivid, nuanced picture right out of the gate.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we take that great vocabulary we just talked about and inject it into complex grammar. Notice how the sentence doesn't just stop. It uses a defining relative clause that is steeped in history to add descriptive detail directly to the noun. Then, it just flows effortlessly into a non-defining relative clause, where the close-knit community makes it a truly welcoming place to live. By layering these descriptive phrases together, you are hitting the requirements for both lexical resource and grammatical range in one perfect breath.
Next up, Section 3, elevating work and study.
So now that our hometown pillar is perfectly constructed, let's move on to the second pillar of our introduction blueprint, which focuses on your academic or professional life. This is totally the next most common topic an examiner is going to jump to, and we're going to build this response incredibly logically. Step 1, instead of just saying, "I study," say you are pursuing a major in your field. Step 2 is where you really show maturity. Describing your work as highly demanding yet rewarding shows the examiner this nuanced, balanced expression. It tells them, hey, I can communicate complex, even slightly contrasting ideas. And finally, Step 3, talking about your professional trajectory. This is just an incredibly sophisticated way to discuss your long-term career goals and future aspirations.
Let's look at how that actually comes together in a template. Currently, I am pursuing a major in environmental science, which is highly demanding yet rewarding, and I aspire to build a professional trajectory in sustainable development. Do you notice the linking word "and" right there in the middle? It seamlessly connects your current roles with your future aspirations. Also, starting with that temporal adverb, currently, sets the context just beautifully. It's perfect coherence and flow.
Section 4, discussing hobbies with flair.
And that brings us to the third and final conversational pillar of our house, talking about your free time. This is where you get to share your actual hobbies and interests, but we really need to ensure you do it with natural, fluent expression. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive quality jump to be made here. Look at the left. I like reading. That is exactly what thousands of other candidates are going to say.
and it keeps you stuck right in that band 5 or 6 range. But simply shifting that exact same thought to "I am an avid reader" completely elevates your sentence into band 7+ territory. It instantly shows strong enthusiasm and a much, much deeper command of the English language.
So here are your core expressions for this specific pillar. We just covered an avid reader. Next is a profound inclination towards whatever your hobby is: hiking, photography, baking, you name it. And finally, explaining that your hobby is a great way to unwind. Now, listen, here is a critical reminder for us as we prep. You absolutely must use these phrases to show genuine passion. Please do not just memorize them word for word and recite them like a robot. You want to sound authentic, you want to sound confident.
Let's break down the grammar at play here. As an avid reader, I often spend my evenings engrossed in novels because I find it a great way to unwind after a busy day. You know what makes this sentence score so highly? It's the adverbial clause of reason, because I find it a great way to unwind. You aren't just stating a dry fact, you are explaining the why. Add in that frequency adverb often, and you've suddenly added incredible natural fluency and varied sentence structure to your answer.
So look at that, we've built an amazing house. We have a rock-solid foundation and 3 beautiful pillars. But right now, we actually need to stop building for just a second. We need to focus on defending our blueprint against the monsters that destroy test scores. We have to ask ourselves, what is actually holding your score back from that band 7?
Which brings us to Section 5, Common Pitfalls to Avoid. Okay, these are the absolutely crucial defense mechanisms needed to protect that high score. Because you can use all the advanced vocabulary in the entire world, but if you fall into these specific traps, the examiner is going to dock your points. First, avoid memorized or scripted answers. Seriously, examiners can spot them a mile away. They sound deeply unnatural. Second, steer clear of repetitive basic vocabulary. But the third one, this is the real silent killer: flat intonation. If you speak like this, "I come from a bustling metropolis that is steeped in history," it literally does not matter how good the words are. You sound robotic. You must contrast that with natural stress, rhythm, and varied pitch. Try this. "I come from a bustling metropolis that is steeped in history." Do you hear the difference? You have to bring the words to life. Let's move to Section 6, our finale, the ultimate model answer.
Let's see how this builds. This is the real climax of our explainer, where all of our hard work pays off and the whole blueprint comes together into one masterpiece. Listen to how beautifully this flows. I'm originally from a bustling metropolis that is steeped in history. Currently, I am pursuing a major in environmental science, which is highly demanding yet rewarding. Outside of my studies, I am an avid reader and have a profound inclination towards hiking, as I find it a great way to wind down. I mean, it's just amazing. The 3 pillars of hometown, work, and hobbies flawlessly snap together into one perfect, cohesive roof. It hits high-level vocabulary, complex grammar, smooth transitions, and natural pacing, all at the exact same time.
Now the ball is firmly in your court. You literally have the exact architectural blueprint required to succeed. So I challenge you. Sit down today and draft your very own answer using the structures we covered in this explainer. Practice it with a partner, record yourself on your phone to check your intonation, and refine your delivery until it's perfect. But it leaves us with one final, pretty important thought. What if the biggest barrier between you and a band 7 isn't your vocabulary at all? What if it's simply your willingness to let your true personality shine through the structure? Think about that as you build your own blueprint. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.